Two NCAA tournament participants for last year, still on the edge of the bubble conversation, but it's starting to get late early for Maine and BU. Their path back to the tournament may very well start tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, folks, for Friday Night Hockey East on Nesson with Jim Connolly. I'm Eric Galante. We've seen some high highs from these teams, some inconsistencies as well. They're still close, but the run might need to start tonight for these teams.
You feel it, BU, you feel like it started on Monday by advancing in the Beanpot, but Maine, they really need to get their game right and consistent. That's what they're looking for. Is this the team they can beat to maybe get that consistency started?
Let's talk about some players in this game, starting with your front runner for Hockey East Rookie of the Year, and that's Justin Poirier.
Yeah, Justin Poirier has the skill that can change a shift in one touch, but Ben Barr says that the second half is where freshmen really learn what this level demands. Space disappears out there, and Poirier's challenge is to keep creating without waiting for the perfect ice. If Maine's going to find consistency down the stretch, Poirier's growth will matter. On the other side, for Boston University, Jonathan Morello. Jay Pandolfo calls Morello one of the most trusted forwards from day one. A simple, direct player who skates, competes on puck, and has quietly produced. Pandolfo called him one of our 3 or 4 more consistent forwards, and you can see why. He wins faceoff, gets to the net, he plays an honest game that holds up in big game situations. He may not have the flash, but for Morello, the hard work is what pays off.
Bruins draft pick scored one on Monday in the win against Northeastern. It's BU and Maine coming up on Friday Night Hockey East on Nesson. Welcome back to Aganis. Time to take a look at tonight's starting goaltenders, presented by Agnelli Law Offices, attorneys who once protected the Nets, but who now protect your workers' compensation rights. Let's start with Maine and Albin Boya. It's been an up and down season for Boya, of course, coming off the last 2 years when he was one of the best goalies in the country. You know, I think it kind of speaks to what we've seen from this whole Maine team, right? There's been some really high highs, there's been some lows, some inconsistencies, and it's just about finding that mix. We've seen Boya and we've seen Mattis Russo at times this year. On the other side, Mikhail Yegorov, once again in goal for Boston University, his 28th start of the season, coming off a 24-save performance on Monday night against Northeastern. He had allowed 3 goals in 3 straight prior to Monday's game. Still, on the whole of it, though, a pretty solid month of January and trying to build off of that. We mentioned it off the top, right? Obviously, there's the Hockey East standings implications. In terms of the national picture, Maine 22nd in the NPI, BU is 24th. So are they out of it yet? Certainly not. But time is, as we said, starting to get tight on both of these teams. So we'll see what happens today.
I always say that the Beanpot is kind of a real benchmark point of where you are in the, used to be the pairwise, now the NPI.
So here is Cole Hudson, who scored the shootout winner on Monday night to send the Terriers to the final of the Beanpot on Monday. Here is Tynan Lawrence in against Thomas Pichette. Jack Harvey tries to work it from the wall. With the stick in from Boisvert, and here comes Maine skating out with it, and Brandon Holtz. Holt, one of the best defensemen in Hockey East, scored the overtime winner against Boston University when these two teams played up at Alfond over Halloween weekend. Those were 2 wild games, including 8-5 win for Maine on Saturday. They ended up sweeping that weekend. I would imagine both coaches would rather not see a game like that again, just in terms of how things played out defensively.
I don't know. I got to broadcast
I mean, it was fun. It would be fun for us, that's for sure.
Cooper Boardman, I don't know if he's ever called more goals in one evening of his life.
Chipped off the wall. Here is Bednarik, who starts out for Boston University. Russell lost his footing. Bednarik, an Islanders draft pick, back for Aiden Celebrini, and it's broken up well by Scott. And Maine comes out with it. Here is Poirier, the Hockey East leader in goals. What a year it's been. 18 goals and 29 points for Poirier. 5th nationally in goals and 1st among freshmen. From the outside, Chabrier's chance, it knocked off of Frechette, and then it was secured by Yegorov.
We started to talk about Justin Poirier, and there were so many big names coming in from the CHL this year. Gavin McKenna kind of leading that charge out of Penn State, but Poirier really has become one of the front runners at this point for Rookie of the Year, the Tim Taylor Award, National Rookie of the Year. He will certainly be in the mix in that conversation come April.
Face-off win for Boston University, and here is McCarthy. Gavin McCarthy, the captain and a Buffalo Sabres draft pick, one of 18 draft picks on this BU roster. Ryder Ritchie forward with Morello. This is a group we've seen a lot of recently in terms of, I mean, technically we keep calling it like a fourth line. It's really not a fourth line, and they're not even listed as a fourth line now. But Rukanakis, Morello, and Ritchie, you get some of that high-end skill with Ritchie, some fourth line stuff with Rukanakis, and then you talked about Morello off the top of the show. He comes up so much in conversations with Jay Pandolfo about this Terriers team right now. Boston Bruins 5th-round pick.
Yeah, you're talking about Morello and Rukanakis as players that just, they are grinders. They will go out and do the hard, dirty work, and you compliment them with such a talent like Ryder Ritchie, who's looking to get off the schneid. It's been some time, and that's a too many men on the ice penalty for Boston University.
Yeah, so the puck was right over in front of the BU bench as they were trying to make a change. And the Terriers are going to go shorthanded here early.
You could see referee Jeremy Tufts, he pointed to a player who had both legs over the board.
Boston University penalty, too many players on the ice.
Many players was the call. There was a player on the left side of the bench. We're actually seeing it now. It's
Boumediene,
he had both of his skates off the ice, but he was on the bench side of the ice side of the bench. When you had the other 5 players, the puck gets played over in front of the bench. You add all of that together, the 5 that were in front of the door plus Boumediene, and that was the 6 that they decided was worthy of a penalty. So a Maine power play here, looking to get an early strike.
These are two teams that are trying to ignite their power play. Maine was 0 for 3 against Providence on Saturday, just 1 for their last 19 over the last 8 games, since that's out of play. Really throughout Ben Barr's whole tenure with Maine, we've seen kind of some ups and downs and some major swings in their power play.
They can be a very good power play unit, and they can be dominant at times. They have plenty of talent. They do like to attack and get second shots, so you'll see them work the puck around. They will try for shots from the elbow, but they'll have bodies crashing the net. That is one thing about this Ben Barr team, is they're good with their details, and they'll get into that dirty area in front of the net.
It's a Maine team that comes in ranked 18th in the national polls, 14, 10, and 2 overall, and 8 and 8 in Hockey East. It was kind of an odd month of January for Maine. First of all, they just didn't play that many games, period. They had their Hockey's bye in there. So they go to Denver. They have a great 5-point weekend. They come back, get swept on the road by Providence, then have a week off. And that's good work by Bednarik to get it back out with some pressure on for Poirier. So Maine ends up going, 2 and 3 in Hockey East over the course of the month. They sweep Lowell. They lose 3 times. All 3 of those losses were to Providence, including in overtime last Saturday. Here is Josh Nadeau, who's back playing his first game since January 10th. Trying to set up for Maine. Gets it over on a one-time look from Scholey. Went off of his stick. Now it's Thomas Friel, such a good power play player in front of the net, down low. Brandon Holt walks the line with 57 seconds remaining on the penalty. Tried to get it back to him, but it went through his legs, and now Poirier gets it forward for Holt, who works it down low. There's Friel right in front of Nadeau. Plays it over. Oh, big save, Yegorov on Scholey. Might have been one extra pass there, but an excellent save nonetheless. Then Nadeau tried one from deep, and it's off the net, and it's cleared down by BU.
Yeah, once Nadeau got that puck in the slot area, I think we all thought he was going to shoot it. Instead, he passes it over, and Scholey just absolutely robbed there by Yegorov.
First shot on goal either way, and a big save by Big Mike Yegorov. 17 seconds remaining on the penalty. BU kill has really been excellent all season long, really since the midway point of last year, where they changed up some things, really tried to be more aggressive on their penalty kill. They've basically been 85% since the beginning of last January. They're 84% this year, which is top 12 nationally, and they're 1 for 1 tonight.
You hear about penalty kills being aggressive, and oftentimes it's guessing whether you can be aggressive or not. BU guesses, but they guess right a lot of the times. They make that pressure move, and it causes havoc for attacking power plays.
Fondrick comes back in for the Terriers as we play even strength 5 minutes into this first period. Officially, Maine credited with 3 shots on goal so far in the game, and that big one from Scholey stopped by Yegorov. That's broken up on the blue line by Murtagh. Jack Murtagh got it over looking for McLaughlin, but it was broken up, and it's out of play.
Looked like Boston University was in the position to go up the ice with that puck. Murtagh had it after a turnover at the offensive blue line by BU. Nothing develops as we look at this shot here by Maine. And this is that unbelievable save there. Looked like it was the glove that was outstretched there by Yegorov. Let's get a better look at it here if he gets, can't tell from that angle even if it might have been blocked even short of Yegorov.
And it was hard to tell whether it rolled off of Nadeau's stick and that's why he decided to pass it, or he just felt like the lane wasn't there. Yegorov makes a save on a shot from the outside. Jack Harvey comes in to take it for Boston University. Terriers, who dropped Friday's regular season game to Boston College 4-1 before that Beanpot game, which officially, remember, goes down as a tie in terms of the NCAA picture. And then the shootout pushing BU to the final, where they'll meet BC once again on Monday. Here is Boisvert, who comes in, tried a little toe drag, but it was broken up well by Langlois. And Oscar Komarov chipped in for Hudson. Some pressure from Lawrence. And here is Brandon Holt, who plays it around. Jaden Lipinski has had a nice first season with Maine. 8 points so far. .585 face-off percentage. One of the top face-off guys in Hockey East so far. Draft pick of the Calgary Flames in the 4th round. One of 5 picks on this Maine team, which is up from the last couple of years. As more and more talent comes in, seeing the job that Ben Barr and company have done, getting Maine to the Hockey East Tournament Championship last year for the first time since 2004, and getting themselves back into the national tournament as well. Ryder Ritchie taken off momentarily by Peterson. Ritchie gets it back though, couldn't get a shot towards the net. It was broken up well, but Rukanakis came in, made a nice play on it. Rukanakis skating away from Brandon Holt. Rukanakis still on it the whole way. The sophomore from Pembroke here in Massachusetts. Didn't play his first game this year until November 15th. There's a chance for Morelos, set up well by Ritchie. That's that line that we keep talking about with this BU team. Ritchie, Rukanakis, and Morello continuing to develop here.
And they've made something happen out of this shift.
Here's Ritchie, moves back center, broke it up well. Still alive though in the slot momentarily before finally Poirier's able to get it out to center. And it's Lucas Peterson back in. Peterson comes all the way, tried to center up, but it was broken up well by Mick Frechette.
Yeah, that was some good hard work by that third line for BU. Morello, Rukanakis, and Ritchie there getting that opportunity. They got a couple of good chances out of what was really a harmless puck in the corner that they had to go in, win a 50-50 battle.
8 minutes into this first period. That was the first shot of the game for the Terriers. Officially 3-1 in shots right now. Frank Jurasevich resets. Played his first year at Merrimack, now in his 2nd season with Maine. It's been a really nice ad for Ben Barr. Malta Voss playing his first time in a couple of games. Now Bednarik coming through. Bednarik's chance got deflected high. And it's Cole Iserman, shovels it back for Voss, looking for a tip from Bednarik. Ends up wide of the net. Boumediene now is bumped momentarily by Nadeau. He switches spots. Bednarik's been active early in this game. Islanders draft pick in the 2nd round in 2024. Shoveling towards the net now. Yuzero pushed him off. Back up top for Voss, who's out there with Boumediene. Tried to get a shot through. It was broken up high by Yuzero. Scholey. Oh boy, Scholey knocked it down well and managed to get something towards the net. Boumediene was right there with him to break it up.
To make anything out of a 1-on-4 was pretty impressive.
Here is Thomas Friel. Friel looking for a setup with Komarov. Was out front of Murtagh, but ends up rolling behind the goal line. From the outside, Chabrier's chance will come all the way around and out. Not a ton of shots on goal so far. Just not unexpected when you see Maine. They're always traditionally one of the best teams in terms of limiting shots on goal in Hockey East. But it has been a topic of conversation for Boston University recently, getting more pucks to the net, getting more pucks on goal. Something that Coach Pandolfo's talked a lot about the last few weeks. Too many shots blocked, too many shots missing the net. Not that they've had a ton of chances so far, but that's kind of been the credo of the last couple of games here for BU as they try to find their offense once again. McCarthy, oh boy, Lawrence was there in front, went underneath his stick, and then Murtagh tried to center up. McCarthy comes down the wall with Friel the closest to him. Over the halfway mark of the first period, and still in a scoreless game between BU and Maine, and it's Cole Hudson tried to get one towards the net. A lot of traffic in front, though, and it's Langlois who gets it over for Friel, who skates it out on the backhand for Maine.
Yeah, that's an example of that Maine defense. They just kind of pack things in. It's hard to get pucks through the middle, so if you're going to find ways to penetrate with shots from the outside.
Oh, it's turned over. James was right there, couldn't get the shot through, though. McCarthy nearly gave it up, but frankly did a pretty good job to stay with it once he did and prevent Brock James from a good opportunity.
It was so surprising that Brock James, he had the puck in his stick. I don't think he knew what to do with it. It came onto his stick so quickly.
Brock James, who's gotten some time recently due to some injuries throughout the Maine card, playing in his 9th game of the season and his 4th in a row today for Maine. Freshman from Falmouth, Maine. Peterson shovels Fuller. Here is Fowler. Plays it back. Peluso, another guy who's gotten time recently. Yuzero now. That stays on side as Yuzero. Cycling around Celebrini. Not a lot of open ice in this game. Off the wall. They try to center up with Russell. Does manage to collect. Russell cycling from the outside. Got blocked before it got through to Yegorov. Rolling puck on the back of the net. Scott digs it out. Here's Jurasevich. Plays it over Yuzero towards the net, looking for a tip. Ends up just in behind. Yegorov might have gotten a piece of it.
And Charlie Russell right there trying to get that tip in front.
Charlie Russell, his junior season, after starting a couple of years ago with Clarkson, had the assist on the game-winning goal in the Hockey semifinal last year in double overtime to beat Northeastern. And eventually, Maine beating UConn in that final. Trying to get back there once again. BU finally takes it off the wall, but just momentarily, though, as it's Chabrier who plays it back in. All the way down to 7:34 remaining here in the first period, still without a major stoppage except for the penalty. Haven't had a whistle in a long while. Here's Ritchie. Ryder Ritchie coming in. This group created the best BU shift of the game. That almost had a chance to be numbers back, but Poirier couldn't quite get to it, but does spring Nadeau. Josh Nadeau crossing over from the Hockey East logo. Nadeau fires. It was deflected before it could get on goal. Now it's Langlois and Chabrier off a rolling puck. Didn't really have a settled one to shoot. Now does with Scholey in front. Sully Scholey's had a lot of chances so far.
He's a player that puts himself in position. That's why he gets his chances.
Ritchie could not get around Langlois. That's a really good play by the freshman defenseman from Quebec, Langlois, coming out of the queue. Here's Friel. Friel kind of in on his own. Komarov jumps into the rush now. 6:31 remaining in the first period. Still scoreless. BU and Maine. Shots are 4-1 in favor of the Black Bears. Komarov plays it back for Brandon Holt. Holt looking for a tip somewhere. Komarov the one to collect and spin and shoot. It's loose in front and a backhand try by Friel. Just missed the net. Might have been the best non-power play chance of the game for Maine. And it's dunked out to center. Oh, Yzerman putting some pressure on. Peterson, oh, what a great job with Yzerman charging in to prevent what would have been a breakaway.
Impressive not to take a penalty.
Really good job by Lucas Peterson. Freshman defenseman coming out of the USHL, native of Waldrick, New Jersey. Couple of big hits. And from the wall, it's Frechette who knocks it down for Ben Merrill. Merrill out there with Yzerman and Boisvert at the moment. Here is Aiden Celebrini walking the line. Got around Komarov, who's without a stick, and his shot is stopped by Boya. And we finally take a timeout on the ice with 5:26 remaining in the first period and some fireworks early between BU and Maine. Bridget Prue joins us ringside on the other side here on Friday Night Hockey East on NESN.
Anna Serena will BU is set to take on BC in this year's Beanpot Championship on Monday. It will mark the 300th Battle of Comm Ave. The Terriers sent themselves to the championship in dramatic fashion. They came out from behind twice against Northeastern, had a goal called back in overtime, then won in a shootout with Jack Harvey and Cole Hudson beating Lawton Zacher to end the game. BC, on the other hand, cruised past Harvard with a 5-1 win to go to the Beanpot title game. So BU has a chance to defend its Beanpot title against BC, a team that beat them here at Aganis a week ago. Guys.
Yeah, it'll be really cool. Jack Parker and Jerry York will both be there to drop a ceremonial puck for the 300th matchup between those two teams. Well, folks, at the end of that, there was a penalty called on Cole Iserman for a slash on BU. So Maine has a second power play attempt here of this first period. Poirier works up top for Holt. His shot was blocked off the skate of Boumediene. Here is Friel. Works it around the wall for Brandon Holt. So again, shots on goal are 4-1. Attempts are 15-9 in favor of Maine. So the attempts and the shots, totally different stories so far. With 5 minutes to go in the first period, 1:35 of the power play. And it is Sholey up top for Brandon Holt towards the net. Yegorov sees it clean and secures it. Folks, make sure to stay up to date on the latest news and scores from around the league by following @hockey_east on X and Instagram. Visit hockeyeastonline.com for scores, stats, watch links, and ticket information for all Hockey East games.
You see that shot there by Maine, pretty straightforward, not a lot of traffic in front, taking the eyes away from Yegorov. He sees that one. We get a face-off.
Sholey looking to get it down for Friel, but BU does manage to get it out, and here comes Merrill. Can Merrill split the two defenders? It rolls off of his stick with Poirier and Holt, both back checking well for Maine.
These two teams are incredibly dangerous, shorthanded teams. BU leads the nation with goals.
Murtagh whacks it all the way down, 1:01 remaining. On the power play time, just 4:23 left in the period. No score between Maine and BU. Second group out for Maine is Russell. Knocks it in. Giroir was the closest to it. Usero couldn't hold it. And there goes Murtagh. Murtagh has Morello, tries to stop, but Russell caught up to him. Numbers back here for Maine if they go quickly. Giroir tried to shovel it. Russell, though, gets pinned in. That's a really good job by Jonathan Morello. I mean, it looked like at one point that could have been 4-on-1 or 2 going back the other way, and BU just closed the gap.
Yeah, that's a solid defensive play. Not just to close off the lane, but then use his frame, Morello, to take that puck away and get it down the ice.
Here is Giroir, 13 seconds to go on the penalty time. Behind the net, it's Russell, who works it out, Jurasevich, and Usero was looking for Giroir. Will Giroir, one of the freshmen from the CHL. Russell now with the power play time expired. It's broken up by Harvey. And right out of the box, Iserman! Oh my, he hit the post! He can't buy one right now.
Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. Here's Harvey once again. Harvey in, couldn't get the shot away. Iserman had 2 unbelievable chances in that Beanpot semifinal on Monday. And there was all alone. And an A+ shot beats Boya, but could not get by the post.
He had a lot of room up top and was picking the corner. Probably had a little bit of room inside that post, but nonetheless, that's what, you know, it just shows when you're scoring and you have a scoring touch going, everything goes in. When you're not, boy, it can go the other way.
Fowler plays it down, looking for Komarov. 2:32 remaining in the first period. Still scoreless between Maine and BU. Maine is 0 for 2 on the power play so far. Here's Fowler. Tried to get the pass through, broken up well by Ryder Ritchie. Tap for Lawrence. Tynan Lawrence looking to give it back for Ritchie. It's broken up, and Lipinski coming back through. Has Peluso out front, throws it towards the net, and Yegorov knocks it down. McCarthy, there was a stick loose behind the net. He almost lost his footing. Great hit there by James. Tries to center up Lipinski. It was still loose momentarily before it's finally taken away by Fondrick.
That loose stick almost caused such a problem back there for BU.
And McCarthy comes back to get it. Just 1:23 remaining in this first period. Rukanakis turns a shot that got deflected up high off the top of the boards. James knocks it down. Brock James for Josh Nadeau. And a good pass forward looking for Lipinski. Against Voss. Shovels it, Nadeau's got it. Nadeau shot fought off by Yegorov. That stick is still loose behind the net, making life difficult. Boumedian plays it around, but it's stopped there by Peterson with some pressure from Boisvert. Peterson comes down the wall. Peterson tries to center up, looking for a tip from Nadeau. It ended up in behind. Peterson once again cycling, and it's over. Jurasevic's shot knocked down. Giroir, though, is right there to get it for Maine. A lot of space here. Giroir tried to get it over for Nadeau. It was broken up. And Boisvert at the end of the shift ladles the sand wedge to the corner.
That was probably the harder pass that Giroir tried to connect there to Nadeau. He had a couple of better options closer.
Just 24 seconds remaining. Here is Scholey who dumps it in. I think the officials have legitimately blown their whistles 3 times this entire period. We've gone through 2 media breaks, only 14 seconds left in the period. Try to center up Scholey, and then it was Yuzero. Had a great look underneath his stick, and Yzerman coming back again. Yzerman gets center. Yzerman shoots, and a save by Boya. And that will do it for the first period. How do you like that?
We had seven face-offs that entire period. We played that period in 25 minutes.
Folks, coming up during the Boston Children's Hospital Intermission Report, we'll look at the hockey's men's plays of the week, brought to you by Sullivan Tire. Get a chat with Bridget downstairs, and some stats on the other side as well. Well, again, shots on goal, only 7-3 Maine, but attempts 20-12 in favor of the Black Bears. But we are scoreless after the first period of play here at Aganis. Maine and BU, 2 of the classics, trying to get themselves back in the race here on Friday night.
Shoots and scores! What an individual effort by Josh Morey! Two-on-one if they hurry. Lalonde, a quick shot, save is made. Cranston fires the rebound in, a save is made by Chauvin. Drops off for Sawyer. Sawyer shoots it under the bar and in.
Yeah, that's a shot, all right.
Yep. Logan Sawyer with the overtime winner, and the Friars' winning streak extends to 7. Oh, look at that pressure, Letourneau, and Hagens take it right out. Letourneau over Hagens, scores! The Bruins boys do it again, and the Eagles lead by 2.
Welcome back to Aganis, folks, in our Boston Children's Hospital Intermission Report. Folks, Eastern Propane and Oil is proud to partner with Hockey East to support youth hockey throughout New England. Visit HockeyEastOnline.com to get your youth team featured on social media and a chance to win Hockey East tickets. Well, scoreless game between BU and Maine. Not a ton of shots on goal, but not for lack of chances. And Bridget is downstairs with Camille Bednarik for a little bit more on period number 1 and how things went down.
Camille, 2 big penalty kills for you. I know you guys were pretty successful in that. How did you feel you guys did?
I thought we did pretty well. Just some things we got to clean up. Got a little confused there. Got stuck out there. Me personally for a bit long, so it was tough to battle through that one. But I thought we stuck together as a group and cleared off those 2 penalties, so it was good.
What does Maine do well that you guys have to watch out for?
They're just constantly doing the same thing, just playing, put it in deep, forechecking hard. It's hard to take it away from them. They're just a big, strong team, likes to hang on to it down low. They can make a lot of plays, so it's definitely not an easy game.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Agganis Arena, folks. Friday Night Hockey East here on NESN. BU and Maine, and a scoreless game between the Terriers and the Black Bears. Again, the shots on goal certainly is a different conversation than the attempts, the events that happened in that first period. The block numbers certainly stand out there, Jimmy, with 10 blocks already for BU. But again, it felt like both teams in some ways, going back to the conversation we keep having with Jay Pandolfo, right? Getting more shots on goal, but even in that period, right, it's 12 attempts, just 3 on goal.
Yeah, he said it this week. We're one of the worst teams in the country at hitting the net. You don't have to pick a corner every time, and that was the point. There's a lot of shots that don't need to be in the corner. You're not trying to score. Sometimes you just have to shoot with purpose and try to create a rebound. I think that was something that he's trying to really ingrain into this team. It's harder to teach than it may look sometimes, and that's obviously been an issue. But that 10 block shots at the other end, that's a very impressive number, and this defense is certainly making sure that they're selling out to protect their goaltender as much as they can tonight.
Maine had those 2 power play chances. BU killed both of them off. Really, that one save very early on in the game by Yegorov might have been the best opportunity all the way through over on Scholey. So we'll get set for this second period. And, just going back to that conversation about BU, again, you look at all the talent out there, it feels hard to believe, but over the last 16 games, this Terriers team is averaging just 2.2 goals per game. And, Coach Pandolfo keeps talking about it. It's all those things, but then he's also talking about the other side of it, which is guys starting to grip their sticks a little bit tighter. Guys starting to put too much pressure on themselves, especially where a lot of these recruits come from. You're trained points and scoring and all of those things, and it doesn't mean they're not doing other things well, but it feels like there's a dam to be broken here. It's just a matter of when it happens and does it happen in time for this Terriers team.
Yeah, I go back to the beginning of the season, and this is a better defensive team than they were in November.
Sure. Yes.
October, November, this BU team. But sometimes to play good defense, you have to sacrifice a little offense. Now the balance is what I think Jay Pandolfo really seeks, and not just taking care of things at one end of the ice defensively, but finding ways to get up and just do the right things. As we look at some of the highlights in that first period, such a fast-moving first period. Just one of the 3 commercials we were able to take, and we only had 7 face-offs the entire period. I don't know if I've called too many games with that fewer face-offs. This is the shot there for Yzerman, and sometimes you do worry that a player that is really talented starts struggling, and in that instance right there, hits the post. He had 2, as you mentioned, in the bean pot the other night. One that a right pad or right skate save against Northeastern. That was just a fantastic save in that one. But you get into that mode where you get very frustrated, especially when you're a high-end scorer. You want to find ways to put pucks in the back of the net.
So second period begins. The Terriers and the Black Bears. Here is Hudson. Hudson trying to move through, has Lawrence. It just rolled off his stick. Tynan Lawrence, who is a projected first-round pick, a high first-round pick in the upcoming NHL draft, 17 years of age, came in early at the beginning of January from the USHL. Again, the production maybe doesn't jump off the charts so far, but he has been very good and very active early on in his BU tenure. Here's Jack Harvey, who gets it off the wall, turns it over for Friel. He's looking to get it forward for Frechette. Here's Peterson, who had some nice moments in that period. Peterson tried to spin against a bunch of white sweaters. Plays it over for Charlie Russell. And Russell around for Komarov. Oscar Komarov right for Poirier. It hit Yegorov, tucked to his post on the side of the net, and they whistle it down.
Net was able to, the right post came off as Yegorov made that save, but a really good look out front, getting the puck to Poirier right there in the slot area, just to the left of Yegorov. A big save he had to make there.
So Scott and Lawrence, this is one place where Lawrence's impact really has shown up for BU. They've been excellent on the face-off so far in this second half. Really, it's not all Lawrence, certainly, but as a team, they're .544. First, let's watch Jurasevich come in, and he scores! Oh, Jurasevich off a tough angle, but he walks in and scores his third goal of the year, and the Maine Black Bears take a 1-0 lead.
It's been all Maine here for the first 122, and it's Frank Jurasevich who pays it off here. Look at this play here. Takes it from the right-hand point, just decides to skate in, and then you have Yegorov just off his ankle. I don't think he expected Jurasevich to go that deep with the puck. You have a few bodies in between, so he never recovers, and then Jurasevich just able to see maybe about a 3-puck width window, shoves that puck up top under the crossbar, and a 1-0 lead here for the Black Bears.
Jurasevich now with 6 points over his last 11 games, his third goal and 11th point of the season. And Maine has a 1-0 lead. Black Bears are 10-2-2 this year when scoring first.
That was one of those goals I had to see the replay to say, where did that beat the goalie?
Yeah. But a good job of recognition there. Oh, that was loose momentarily in front. Ritchie was the closest Terrier to it, but Boya eventually got a stick on it. Here's Brandon Holt. Holt from the outside, flips one to Doe off the wall, and a sliding play by Frechette. Again, that whole sequence odd, and honestly, one of the strengths of Yegorov's game usually is how he gets to those posts. You see him knock the net off as much as anyone because he's so good at pouncing over and getting in position on those posts, but that time just never quite was able to get set again, as you talked about. And Maine has the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I think when Jurasevich was at the post, he froze Yegorov a little bit. When he was at the right point. That was when he made the move to come down toward the right half wall and then skate toward the net. That was, at that point, Yegorov said, oh no, I wasn't backing up quick enough. He did leave that opening, and what a shot there by Jurasevich to find that opening.
So it's a Maine team that you look at where their offense has been this year, and sometimes this can be an odd stat. First, let's watch Murtagh. Numbers for BU. Chance for the outside kick. Save. Boya. Rebound was available off the chance from Swoboda, but nobody was there to pounce on it for BU. And it's McCarthy in deep against Fowler, and Swoboda will start it out. Obviously, you're going to score more goals in games that you win versus in games you lose, and BU's got one, and they are tied. What a shot by Jack Murtagh. Tie game at 1.
A big response there by the Terriers. As Jay Pandolfo says, it hasn't always been the name players that you have scoring. Well, Jack Murtagh's a guy that you had some expectations for coming into this year. To see him put that one, finish that 2-on-1 off. Great pass across as well by Cole Hudson to find Murtagh for that one, and he makes no mistake. We're tied at 1.
Jack Murtagh, who had a really nice start to his freshman year, 6 points over his first 10 games, but that's his first point over his last 17, and it comes at a key time as the Terriers quickly square this game 1 apiece. I'm just not going to tell any stories, by the way.
That's okay.
That's not, apparently it's not working out today. It's all about timing. So we'll just let the goals play out, and that is whistled out for a high stick. What I was going to say about Maine was, again, this can be an odd stat because obviously you score more in games you win than you lose. But in 14 wins this year, Maine is averaging 5.2 goals per game. in 10 losses, they're averaging 1.1. I mean, that's a pretty massive spread between your wins and your losses.
That's a lot. 4 goals is a lot no matter what. I mean, 4 goals is better, more than half this country's, 2/3 of this country's offense, when you really think about it.
Russell with a tough angle, and he spins around. So that's all I wanted to say, Jack. On we go. 1-1 game here, early second period. And it's Charlie Russell. Usero lost his footing, and it springs another odd man rush for BU. Bednarik goes wide, try to get it back for Yzerman, but it was broken up well. Maine does such a good job getting bodies in those situations, and they make it really difficult. Russell lost the handle out off the wall. And then that's going to be icing.
It's almost like an attempt at a track meet to get up and down. Neither team clean going up and down the ice, and thus we get an icing. I'll admit, I'm a little surprised to get 2 goals early in this period the way that first period
The way the first period went, sure, yeah. But you know, what did we say about that BU team the other night? Bridget talked about it a little bit earlier, the fact that they kept responding, right? They were down a couple of times, kept responding, and they do so again fairly quickly here after trailing 1-0. Here is Scholey, tries to center up, but it's Yzerman who is there for BU and will start it forward, actually puts it on goal, and a blocker save by Boya. Yzerman whacks it around. Here is Morello just off the bench. Jonathan Morello against Brandon Holtz. Hudson was looking to get it forward for Morello. Rukanakis in deep as well. Little chip. And Morello once again. Morello, a little fake, and a bit of miscommunication with McCarthy, and it springs Maine. Maine has numbers back. Jerrois spins, James back, Jerrois, save Yegorov. And it's turned over, James back to it, but his pass for Nadeau was a little bit wide.
That puck pinballed around after the initial shot.
It feels like there's been a couple of odd man rushes for Maine where it's maybe just on the stick for a beat too long. Even on, you know, that power play one earlier, we talked about maybe it was an extra pass, but just a little slow developing, but 2 decent chances there, and Yegorov makes a nice save. There is Brandon Sloboda. Kind of lost his footing on his own. Owen Fowler was there defensively for Maine. Jurasevich, and it's Komarov. Murtag reaching for it, back for Fondrick. Fondrick stays on it, BU's changing. Fondrick is looking to center up. Tynan Lawrence, right back off the bench. Here is Fondrick again, nice pass, Lawrence in, Lawrence couldn't finish, what was a nice move. Maltevas now, plays it down, Murtag lost his footing. Eyes have to open wide when you see a lane like that. It was maybe just in close, and Lawrence couldn't quite finish with the shot.
Yeah, ran out of room before he could make his move.
Lawrence is in again, and that's deflected off the stick of Chambrier. Boisvert plays it back for Boumedian, who walks the line. Boumedian fires, and a blocker save made by Boya. Then it's centered up, Boumedian. Oh my, tried a wild spinning shot. And ended up not close to goal, but what a wonderful effort it was by Boisvert.
It's kind of like the Michigan, but in center ice, and you know, put it on your...
You might have to do a different Big Ten school, because it wasn't quite the Michigan, but maybe a Michigan State, I don't know. It was, whatever it was looked like something you might get in a video game. Bednarik now centers up Boisvert. And it rolled off his stick. Bednarik once again. Back out Celebrini. He's waiting, and his shot is blocked by Thomas Friel. Michigan and Michigan State, by the way, 1 and 2 in the country getting together this weekend.
Yeah, what's that going to be like tomorrow at the Little Caesars
That's
Arena, playing at the home of the Red Wings? They'll be 20,000 strong at that game.
It's kind of amazing, right? You have all these, classic blue bloods of college hockey. And within the last 3 years, you had BCBU playing for the first time ever as 1 versus 2. And now this weekend, Michigan and Michigan State for the first time ever as 1 versus 2. Offside here with 11:57 to go in the second. Tie game at 1. BU and Maine, and a good one so far at Agganis.
Period. Well, in the second half, Jay Pandolfo has emphasized a quantity shot approach. He said, we've never really been a team that just funnels everything to the net, but right now, when you're not scoring goals, you really can't pass up shots. He said, we started diving a little bit more into our numbers, and we saw that we're still missing the net too often. For example, on Monday, BU took 87 shots, but only 38 were on goal. His message to his guys was, you don't have to pick the corner every time. Sometimes shoot to an area of the net and create rebounds that way. And on top of that, we need guys to make sure that they're going to the net for some second chance opportunities and to recover pucks, guys.
It's an interesting conversation, right, when you try to really dive into it, because, okay, if you're getting 87 attempts, then, okay, maybe that percentage, if it's a little bit lower, you're okay with, right? But when it's more like 40 or 50 attempts, then that would be, what you're really trying to work on if you're BU.
Right, you don't see a Penn State mentality of every puck has to go to the net. And even that is, Penn State and Guy Godowski has even been able to let up on that a little bit over the years as they've gotten more talented. But you have to be selective, but you also have to make sure you're making things tough on your opponent.
So Rukanakis now as BU starts out in a 1-1 game in Morello, trying to beat Jurasevich. Does manage to get something towards the net, but it is controlled by Boya. Folks, go beyond with Service Credit Union. From free checking to high rate savings, learn more at servicecu.org. But it has definitely been a topic of conversation that has dominated the press conferences, the media calls, just everything around this BU team recently. A lot of the reporters here, the student reporters with Boston Hockey Blog, everybody does such a great job covering this Terriers program. And that is the topic right now with Jay Pandolfo. He's not shying away from it. They know exactly where they are right now.
No, there's 2 things that he talks about. It's getting shots and finding ways to make the power play successful.
Yep. Here is Boumedian from the outside. Boya got his right shoulder on it. Good look from Boumedian on the outside. That's probably a perfect example of what we're talking about, as he does get that shot on net. Makes the goaltender make a save. Boumedian trying again. That one blocked by Giroir. Voss steps up, gets a hit on Nadeau. Murtagh and Scholey back. Good little 50-50 joust there for the puck. Usero from the outside. That got deflected. Over for Chabrier. Looking to get it to the slot, and Scholey, who was in front. Boy, we've called 19 Murtagh's name a lot for BU, especially here in this second period. And his goal is what tied this game.
That was a really good defensive look by him to be aware of Sully Scholey, who had that really good look on the power play in the first period.
$10:19 remaining here in the second. As it's Peterson. Flips it forward, a little too far for Komarov. And for Shet now. Chance right in front. Yegorov made the save. Still loose. Komarov fires, and he just missed wide. Komarov on it once again. Here is Holt, little fake, and it's Komarov. One-timer got deflected. Then on the side of the net, Yegorov made a right pad save with Friel in close. Still not out yet. Oh, Holt, though, overskated it, and it does come out to center. Terriers, though, can't get off for the moment. 9:31 to go, period of the long change.
It's a good job there by Maine, creating chaos in front of Yegorov.
They are able to get 2 off as Lawrence and Harvey go to the bench. 2 defensemen still out there with 9:13 remaining. A 1-1 game as Ben Merrill skating through the neutral zone. Merrill leaves it behind. Ben Narek comes middle, couldn't get the shot at the end of it. Owen Fowler, the one that pushed him off of the end. Still a rolling puck, though. Merrill gets to it. Merrill waits and shoots, and a blocker saved by Boya. Squirts out for Hudson. Cole Hudson with a little fake, creates space. Hudson shoots, save Boya. Lipinski now back the other way, and quickly Hudson was there to break it up. Loose puck still there. Bednarik falls. It's still available, and they score! Max Scott! Nobody picked up the loose puck, and Maine leads 2-1.
That puck sat there a long time in the slot. You never see a puck sit around this long in college athletics. You usually see somebody stick knocking it, at least swatting it toward a corner, but I don't think any of the Terriers realized where the puck was.
Or at least thought it was underneath Bednarik, right? And once it kind of squirted out, Merrill's there, but he can't reach over his guy to get to it.
And the one guy who saw it was Max Scott. He made no mistake. 2-1 lead for the Black Bears.
So Max Scott with his 5th goal of the year, 16 points, a transfer from Brown, who was a captain last year as a sophomore and was the finalist for the ECAC's Best Defensive Forward Award. And he gives the Black Bears a 2-1 lead with 8:07 remaining here in the second period. And that's right after a couple of key saves from Albin Boya on the other end. It seems like he's brought his A game tonight. Poirier shoots from the outside, glove save by Yegorov. With 7:48 remaining in the second period, Maine with the lead once again as Max Scott picks it up in the slot. He has points now in 3 games in a row, and the Black Bears lead 2-1. The 2026 Hockey's Men's Championship returns to TD Garden on Friday, March 20th and Saturday, March 21st. Don't miss out on the most competitive conference tournament in the country as all 11 teams battle for the Lamarillo Trophy. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Can't wait to get there. Who knows who's going to be there? Still feels pretty wide open here with a month to go in the regular season.
And anytime you have to play in a single elimination tournament, I don't think there's any team that feels like they couldn't beat another team or be beat by another team in this league.
Macklin Celebrini, excuse me, Aiden Celebrini. Macklin's at the Olympics. Here's Frechette. His banner's hanging over us, Houghton Baker banner. Maybe a little bit of separation starting at the top of the hockey standings with Providence, who has a real chance with 2 games this week. They can kind of pull away even from BC, who has just a 1-game weekend. And then UConn in that 3 spot, they're just as close to kind of 4 through 8 as they are. Are they in that top group? Is there a trio there? I think that's what we might learn this weekend. UConn is taking on Northeastern just down the road, playing in Waltham tonight at Bentley, in what is technically a Northeastern home game. UMass is certainly surging. Merrimack's playing great here recently. Fondrick centers up, backhand Sloboda. Good job by Boya holding his spot.
Good job by the Terriers there in transition to make something out of nothing. There really wasn't anything coming over the blue line, but they got bodies to the net, got the puck to the net as well, and created a little bit of traffic in front of Boya. That's what Jay Pandolfo's looking for. You want to just, you got to see more drive at times from your team, and it's a struggle when you're not hitting on all cylinders. It can be a struggle to just keep that consistent effort from the minute the puck drops at 7:05 right up to that last buzzer.
Sloboda nearly got to it off the faceoff. Puck still stuck in the corner. Finally squirts out. Pichette, and it's Sloboda, takes it off the wall, and a bobbling shot is stopped by Boya.
More puck battles in the corner, and that's what this game is starting to become, is a little bit of the 50-50 battles in the corners along the walls. If you can turn those battles into offensive chances, and possibly goals. That's what separates sometimes, is just winning those loose pucks. Coaches talk about it all the time. Who will go in and do the dirty work to win the pucks? We were talking to Jay Pandolfo this week about who he has on his team, and it's not the names you think of that go in and do the hard work. The Vukanakis he was.
Oh, there's Murtagh, nearly had another one off of a face-off. Got a decent look that just missed high of the net.
Those offensive zone draws can be so dangerous if you have a good shooter out there.
Here's Fowler from deep, and that missed high. James pulls it off the wall, turns, that hit maybe his own man Fowler in the slot. For Jurasevich, plays it back off of Lipinski, and James sends it down. 5:47 remaining in the second period. Shots on goal, 14-13 now in favor of BU, but the score is in favor of Maine. That hit the video board. And so that brings us to a whistle, and face-off will come down the other end when we come back. 5:39 to go in the second. The Maine Black Bears with the 2-1 lead. Welcome back to Agganis Arena. Folks, coming up during the Boston Children's Hospital intermission, we'll look at the Hockey East Women's Plays of the Week, brought to you by Sullivan Tire. That is coming up during our intermission. Maine and BU, 2-1 lead for the Black Bears over the Terriers. On the goal by Max Scott, the difference right now. Off a face-off when it's Holt who fires, it's knocked down. Then Poirier comes in. Voss lost his stick in the process. But the Terriers do manage to bring it to center with Jack Harvey. Harvey waits, tries to move in. It's Boumedian working down the wall. His shot is secured by Boya.
Not enough traffic in front right there, and I'm sure Jay Pandolfo would emphasize that to his team. It's good to get pucks to the net, but those pucks need bodies as well. Boumedian gets that along, and sometimes the purpose of a shot is just to get an offensive zone face-off, and if that's what Boumedian was looking for, he accomplished that, and now it becomes the job of your center to win it.
Face-off sat there momentarily, and Scott's back to get it. Rolling puck, McCarthy. Here's Yzerman, little 2-on-2. Merrill was looking to the wall. It was behind Yzerman and ahead of Bednarik. And Cole Hudson resets momentarily, but it's Scott on it first for Maine. They will change. Cole Hudson had an assist on the earlier goal. His assist in the Beanpot semifinal on Monday was the 50th of his career. 50 assists, 51 now, 73 career points in 66 games for BU.
Those are numbers that are hard to produce for any player.
Merrill from the outside. And now Rukanakis. Here is Ritchie, who's forced out to center. It's good pressure there by Scholey. And Frechette plays it around. Rukanakis for Morello, tries a backhand, got knocked up in the air and over top of the net. Here's Frechette again. Look to play it down for Ritchie. Ritchie comes in to get to it. A lot of times we're talking about that group trying to create something. Rukanakis, Morello, and Ritchie. It's Maine here though. Nadeau waiting. Oh boy, actually had the lane there to connect with Friel. Goes through him though, and it's Murtagh, BU's lone goal scorer today, working out against Komarov. And Friel's back. 3:02 to go. Frill got tied up with one of the linesmen behind the play. This feels a little more like the first period. Tough to find any ice. Not a ton of shots getting all the way through after we did have some flurries of activity earlier in this second period.
This lack of action, I think, has just taken the crowd right out of this game, Eric.
And that's the kind of game that Maine can play.
They love it on the road.
Absolutely. 2:24 to go in the period as Voss, who had missed the prior 3 games to this one, his 18th game of the season, coming out of Sweden. It's a spot that BU's had a lot of success recently, bringing guys in from. Fun time of year. The Olympics getting underway in Italy. Micah Ruzioni was here earlier, dropping the puck. James, and a spinning pass from Chabrier, broken up, and there goes Cole Hudson. Hudson missed wide. Tried a little drag and a shot, and it just missed off the blocker's side of the net. It's hard to take individual plays like that and then equate it to everything that we're talking about in terms of the conversation, right? Because that's unfair to look at moments and just have them mean more than just one shot or one sequence over the course of a game, right? Langlois makes a move around Harvey. Langlois coming in, that got deflected. But when you know what the conversation's been, something like that stands out a little bit, right? Langlois fires, and that missed wide as Jurasevich picks it up. Jurasevich from the outside, stick save Yegorov, and he does cover with 55 seconds remaining in the period.
That was Maine just really moving a puck around the zone. BU didn't really have much time to touch it. It was keep away, no shots heading to the net, and finally one comes through from the right point that is covered by Mikhail Yegorov. Face-offs in this game. A few more this period. We had only 7 in the first period. We've had 15 in this second period. So a few more, but still not exactly
not a
ton of whistles here in this game.
Point I was going to make earlier, and then we got rudely interrupted by, the hockey game that we're watching. As Yzerman comes in again. BU's been much better on the faceoff in the second half, and a big reason why is Tynan Lawrence, who's been at about 55% since coming in. The penalty's going to come up here. Nadeau lost his stick, and BU's going to go to the kill for the 3rd time with 32.9 remaining in this second period.
Slashing will be the call.
Boston University penalty number 38, 2-minute slashing.
So it'll go against Bednarik.
Get a look at this one here. Right there, stick out of the hand, yep. So this Maine power play didn't really generate a ton, and you're playing one of the better penalty killing teams in not just Hockey East, but the country in BU.
Had the one really great look on the first power play all the way back early in the first period. That was on too many men.
Yep, Sholey was unable to beat Yegorov. It was hard to tell if Yegorov made a save on that or if it was blocked, but it looked like a point-blank chance.
So that's whistled down quickly for a high stick. 28 seconds remaining in this second period. This power play will obviously wrap around to the 3rd should we get there. Feels like a big moment though. 2-1 game. If you're Maine trying to get to that 2-goal advantage, and BU trying to keep within striking distance. Maine, should they get to the buzzer holding the lead, 10-1-1 this year when leading after 2 periods. 24 seconds away from that being the case once again. But it's broken up by Harvey as Poirier tried to bring it in. See what Maine has on the drop for Nadeau, and he gives it over for Holt. A little bit of pressure from Sloboda. Holt has space. Holt comes in, and it missed wide. All the way around, Holtz got it once more. 5 seconds remaining in the period. Good hit by Voss. It still squirts free. Poirier comes in, couldn't get a shot as Sloboda dives down and prevented a lane from being there. So it'll be 1 minute and 28 seconds of power play time for Maine when we start the third, with the Black Bears holding a 2-1 lead over BU.
Centering pass out front, they score! Molly Ferris, trailing the play, was able to tap that one in as she picks up her first career goal.
Tarian will play it, but turns it over. 3 seconds, Mubarak's got to let it go. Down low, Josefovic is denied at the buzzer. Nomi Martinez. Oh, great pass across, they score! Morgan Jackson draws the penalty and fires it home off a great feed from striker Zablocki.
Second half has been a struggle in conference play for the Eagles. They're trying to turn it around here. Another tap pass and a shot and a score! On the near side back door, Mackenzie Podwell finds the back of the net again.
Day, like you mentioned, 24
Maffeo
hours.
Goes top shelf! Oh, mama! You can't hide the cookies from Olivia Maffeo!
Maine leads Boston University. Welcome back to our Boston Children's Hospital intermission report. It is a Max Scott goal that is the difference in this game right now, and Bridget had a chance to chat with Max.
Max, I want to talk to you about your goal, but first I want to ask you about that first one from Frank Jurasevich. Yeah, I know he's a defenseman, but he had a really nice finish on that one.
Yeah, he just made the smart read, went down when he had the puck, and just got the puck to the net. That's kind of what we've been trying to do all night, so it was a great play.
On your goal, puck was kind of just laying out there. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw a bunch of bodies in front. I was just kind of waiting for the right moment to step in there and put it home.
Not a lot of games left in this season. How important are the 2 points tonight?
So important. You know, we're treating every game like a playoff game, and hopefully we can make it happen from here on out.
Thank you, Max. Thank you.
Welcome back to Aganis. 2 periods down and a 2-1 lead for Maine over Boston University. Remember that Maine will start on the power play. It'll be their third with 1 minute and 28 remaining on it when we start period number 3. So again, shots on goal, a little bit of a different story than shot attempts in this game, 15 apiece. And the block shots, 17 of them already through 2 periods.
That's more, I consider a 15 block game an excellent game.
Yep.
A 17 through 2 periods is phenomenal. It stands out to me too that BU has not drawn a penalty tonight, and that's part of that is great discipline on the part of Maine. They play a road mentality, true and true, but most coaches would tell you you have to go out and draw the penalties. You have to earn your penalties. BU hasn't worked through a checker or something like that that forced a hold or a hook so that they could actually do anything to draw a penalty. So no power plays yet. And listen, I understand this BU power play has not been a lead of late, but still, as we look at the Hockey East standings here, you see
still some bunching there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some groups are maybe starting to emerge, right? Those top 2 teams, Providence and BC, although BC at last check was trailing 3-1 to Vermont in the second period. And then, UConn probably has a chance to go up or into that other group, but then, from really UConn or even UMass at 26 points all the way down to Maine at 22 points, not that much separation there, so there's still a lot that can happen here down the stretch.
Yeah, it's really tightly grouped when you really look at things. And remembering that every weekend is 6 points. 2-game weekends are 6 points. So you even look at UMass with 26. If they take 6 points out of this weekend against Lowell, they trail right now 1-0. They'd be at 32. Boston College only gets one game this week. They're losing right now. Providence is trailing New Hampshire. I'm sorry, they just tied it up late in the second period against New Hampshire. Providence did. But if they were to fall, so there's plenty of opportunity if the top teams don't take care of business for anybody that's in that middle pack, probably from UMass all the way down to Maine, to walk right back into this race.
The one I'm really interested to see over the next couple of weeks is Merrimack there, who's right in the middle of it. 8-2-1 over their last 11 games. Not all those Hockey East games, obviously, but they're going to play a series against Boston College next weekend, which I think might be pretty telling for both teams, really. And so fascinating to see what happens there. Max Lundgren's maybe the most underrated goalie in this league right now. Obviously, we've talked about it with Providence. They've been on an absolute roll. Did not lose in the month of January. 3 wins over this Maine team, 2 wins over this BU team, as well as 2 wins over Boston College mixed in there as well. UMass has been on this hot stretch. And then you look at the bubble conversation and where these teams are in the NPI. Providence is in a pretty good place. BC is in a pretty good place, though, with one landmine left. That landmine is tonight, and that landmine may be in jeopardy of going right now because they're trailing 3-1 after 2 periods to Vermont. Again, a home loss to Vermont. That could be problematic in terms of BC's resume. UConn's right on the bubble right now. They have a lead. They've literally flipped back and forth with Augustana. You know, there were some one-off games this week, so after UMass beat Lowell on Sunday, they flipped. Then after the Beanpot, they flipped again. Then when Merrimack won against Stonehill, that was enough to flip, and then UConn was at 15th, so those two teams are so close right now. So there's plenty of stuff still to sort out. And then you have this Maine and BU team, 22 and 24, which feels far from the cut line at 15. But if you can get wins, there's still time to potentially move up.
We'll take a look at some of the goals here. It was Jurasevich that started things, and then Murtagh. What a great finish that is right there on the pass from Hudson. And then the goal that right now is the difference maker in the game. Max Scott just kind of picking up that puck as nobody could find it in the slot area. Everybody was looking for it. Just Max Scott was the only one to find it. 1:28 remains on the main power play here to start this third period. But a 2-1 lead for the Black Bears heading into the third, trying to close out this road victory. A single game down in Boston. Sometimes you want to just make that trip worth it if you're Ben Barr.
So we get ready to start period number 3, and remember, Maine, 1:28 seconds of power play time. So what a potential momentum moment this is either way as we begin period number 3 with the Black Bears holding a 1-goal lead. Brandon Holt on possession right now. And Maine will start it into the offensive zone. Poirier, it deflects well to Nadeau. Nadeau's still on it. Wasn't exactly how it was drawn up, but he wraps around and Yegorov makes a great save.
That one looked like it was right on the goal line, got pulled off.
Here is Scott who brings it in. It looked like it hit off Poirier's skate, found its way to Nadeau, but then he actually ended up with the opportunity out of it. And it was a good one at that. Here is Poirier for Nadeau. And it's on the offside of Scott. Poirier once more, could not get around Merrill. A shorthanded look for Ben Merrill. Merrill stopped, rebound, stopped again. Boy, it got him twice.
3 looks with the breakaway shorthanded for BU this evening.
Now Maine is back in with numbers. Poirier shot stopped by Yegorov. What a save by Yegorov, following up 2 good ones from Boy on the other end.
Suddenly the offenses of both teams waking up here, and both goaltenders having to stand tall.
Jay Pandolfo says it all the time. We think being aggressive is the best thing, but it does mean there are some opportunities back the other way at times, and there nearly was one there after Merrill had 2 great cracks at it. Either way, great kill for BU, and we're back even strength. 2-1 Maine leads here in the third. Hit a skate of Fondrick. Jurasevich. Yuzero pushes it forward, and now Fowler spins one. Pichette off the wall. Here is Fowler off a rolling puck. Fowler spins, and it hit a skate. Murtagh trying to get in behind. Lawrence was reaching for it, and it's whistled down for offside.
Maine started this period on the power play, but the first 2:11 has been up and down both ends of the ice. Look at this one on the goal line, and then Brandon Holt in great position, couldn't finish that off. The other end of the ice, it's John Merrill, gets a great shot off, and blocker saved, and the right pad save on the follow-up. End-to-end action in this game.
McCarthy works it around. Rukanakis' stick was in there. That was Chabrier who lost his footing. Langlois tried to get it out. Morello, though, plays it right down low. It's on the side of the net. Boya does a good job to find it. It was almost behind him, even though his pad was kind of secured on the post. But that's kind of sensing where you are, and he does a good job to feel for it.
It seemed like maybe that pad and skate actually came away from the post here at the end as you watch it. This is when the puck gets there, and watch you saw it there. The pad and skate were just off the post. The puck was sitting there. There wasn't enough room. There wasn't a stick there to knock it in, but dangerous moment there.
Off of a face-off win, here is Scott. Poirier now whips it around. Morello got to it first, but it's onto a Maine stick and a little tip. Yegorov was back in position, though, as it missed wide. Now it's Holt from the outside. Poirier right in front. Then it was available for Scott momentarily, but he couldn't get his stick on it. Rukanakis in for Boston University, trailing by 1 here early in the third period. Rukanakis and Peterson jousting.
Great job by Rukanakis,
yeah,
just winning
on that a long time, and he's still on it, even though Peterson's right in his grill the whole way. Finally poked to center, and Boumediene beats Poirier, who lost his stick reaching for it.
Takes such upper body strength to be able to win that type of battle. Physical the entire way in that corner.
Rukanakis, who played 21 games last season, 18 of them were in the second half, coming originally out of the USHL. Again, missed the beginning of this season, debuted November 15th. Been solid recently, scored Monday against Northeastern, had 3 shots in that game. Just a valuable player.
Yeah, hard worker. He's a guy that Jay Pandolfo said, I know he will go in, he'll work for those pucks, and he'll retrieve them. You saw it there.
One of the few guys that doesn't have a logo next to his name on the line chart on this team, but just as valuable as anyone. Merrill in. Merrill, little poke check by Boya. And a whistle, and they're going to get a penalty out of this. So that's Merrill using his feet. He gets in.
Main penalty, number 24, 2 minutes boarding.
It's a boarding call against James, and BU goes to the power play for the first time.
Try to get a look at this here.
It's 24.
It's happened before that point. We didn't see it really.
He boarded Iserman behind the play.
So it was behind the play on Iserman, kind of way back, even in the neutral zone. And so that's where that penalty got called. So then Merrill took it in after all of that. So big chance here for BU. We mentioned it, right? This power play in terms of can they find more scoring? It may very well need to be on this power play. They did score 1 on a deflected puck Friday against BC, but still just over the last 12 games, just 2 for 32. Feels hard to believe. Scott takes it away, and then it was broken up with Lawrence and Harvey in there. Here's Friel. Friel spins, hit the skate of Hudson.
Good job by Maine. They've killed off the first 40 seconds of this penalty here, all by winning the first faceoff.
So here's Merrill. Added to power play 1 a couple of games ago. Iserman scores! Cole Iserman with his 14th career power play goal. And oh, did he need that one? Tie game 2 apiece.
It's not too often you talk about a must-need goal. You felt like the Terriers needed it there, not just to get their power play going, but to tie this game. And then Cole Iserman, snake bit for so long, able to beat Albin Boya, and this game is tied.
Remember, Iserman coming right out of the penalty box earlier in that first period, walked in against Boya, had a great look, and hit the post. For a guy as much as anyone that BU looks to for scoring, as that is out of play. Iserman, who scores his 11th goal this season, his 3rd goal of the second half. And the Terriers have squared this game 2-2. More importantly, maybe even than the Iserman part of it, is the power play part of it.
And the way they did it, that was really off the rush. They get the zone and really had not set up. It was just using some space and shooting off the pass. The ability to get that shot before the goaltender's set down there, can't understate how important that is.
Sloboda. And then 2 guys tied up, Murtag and Komarov. Murtag got knocked down and is going right down the tunnel.
Got the worst of that altercation, no doubt.
From the outside, chance for a tip. And it's Komarov once again who takes it off the wall against Boumediene. So the power play goal by Iserman, and Pichette trying to work his way through, but Ritchie got over. And it's Jurasevich, plays it over for Langlois. Back for Jurasevich, who scored a goal earlier. He walks the line, and it's Langlois again, towards the net, hit the side of the net. Yegorov's stick pinning it to the back of the net. It's still loose though, and then finally the whistle comes with 14:25 to go in the 3rd.
That puck was sitting on the apron for a long time, and Yegorov was trying to put his paddle over it, but the puck couldn't be really tied up. It was still loose. Referee finally blows the whistle.
So Cole Iserman, the Islanders' 1st-round pick last season, Hockey East All-Rookie Team selection last year, posting 25 goals, which led all freshmen in the country as his 11th of the year. He is such a valuable shot on that power play. Usually it's kind of setting up on the face-off dot, right, as so many guys have made a living doing through the years. Here is Langlois, plays it over. Jurasevich looking for a tip. Giroir was in the slot. Couldn't quite get his stick on it, and it's Ritchie who picks it up for BU. Ryder Ritchie working against Langlois. Some physical play here. They rule that clean as Rukanakis pushed it with his glove. Here's Ritchie coming around. Ritchie got a good shot away, and it missed up high.
It's another Terrier who wouldn't mind seeing one go in for himself.
Hudson now, blocker down by Boya. Ritchie nearly picked it up, but it's Giroir. Had it on his stick first. Stretch pass for Nadeau. Remember, had that good wraparound look on the power play to start this period. Nadeau playing his 1st game since January 10th tonight. He was out due to an illness.
That pass in front just missed Poirier, would have been an open net.
Here comes Lawrence. Tynan Lawrence spins away, hits the trailer. It's Frechette. Bobbled it at first, working against Poirier, and we'll dump it in deep. Brandon Holt now. Forward on a backhand, immediately push back for Lawrence. Tynan Lawrence stopped by Boya. 12:39 remaining in the 3rd. BU has squared this game 2 apiece between the Terriers and the Black Bears here at Agganis.
tied the game with his 4th power play goal of the season, but it was his first power play goal in a long time. He hadn't scored a power play goal since the 2nd game of the season, and after that, he hadn't scored one in 21 straight games. So until tonight, Jay Pandolfo told us this week, he's really been good in practice. He's been feeling good, and the pucks have been going in for him in practice. And when I talked to Yzerman during the Beanpot game, he did seem calm despite being robbed twice by Lawton Zacher. I think he's handled the frustration of not being able to score pretty well, guys.
I mean, something that Jay Pandolfo talked about a little bit, right? Guys almost putting too much pressure on themselves, especially guys who have had the track record of scoring as much as a Hudson or an Yzerman or whoever. Really, a lot of guys on this team have. But it's just about going through the process, finding those moments. It'll come. This team's too talented for it not to start to find the back of the net, and it has twice so far today. 2-2 game, and that is whistled down for icing.
Yeah, it is one of those things you go through in the course of a season. Almost every team goes through. It's where you struggle in one aspect of the game, whether it's defense, offense, special teams. Now, right now for BU, it's their offense and it's their power play. So you have two things that that are tied in together. They're really related, but it's easy for your best players, your stars, to really put the pressure on themselves. And when they're not delivering, boy, the stick gets gripped tighter. It just becomes more difficult for everything they do on the ice.
McCarthy will start it forward. Vondrick resets. Here is Cole Hudson. Hudson moving through, is trying to set up McCarthy, peeling down the wall. And now it's Scott once again. That was untouched. And icing, with 11:37 remaining here in the third. Folks, for more in-depth analysis and the latest news from around the league, tune into This Week in Hockey East. New episodes air on each Friday night at 6:30 on NESN.
Feels like this third period has begun to slow down again. After you got that BU goal to tie this game, now things are getting, and this could be just the tension. Neither team wants to make a mistake at this point.
It's hard to overstate. Jurasevich first from the outside, that got knocked down. You get to this time of year, and it's not so much must win is the terminology, right? But it's just, there's only so many games left. So whether it's the national picture you're talking about, obviously everybody makes the Hockey East tournament, but putting yourself in a position to go deep in that tournament, which may have to be the path into the national tournament, it all really starts to add up. And there's only so many games left as we hit February. Langlois from the outside, plays it over. Jurasevich walks in, a save by Yegorov. Then a backhand pass, trying to get a tip somewhere in the middle.
That came right through the crease.
10:52 remaining in the third period, and it's Ritchie skating through the neutral zone. Ryder Ritchie goes wide. Ritchie tries to get a tip in front from Frechette, but it missed wide. Ritchie once again. I think you've seen more of his skill coming out tonight. Rukanakis off the skate of Pichette, blocking him in front. Morello now lost his footing against Peterson. Here's Ritchie. Ryder Ritchie trying to skate through. Maltavas around, and Peterson answers it. Brandon Holt lost his footing. Oh, there's an opening. Nadeau, oh, the pass was too far for him. He was wide open.
How do you get that wide open at this point in the game?
A huge breakdown, but Maine could not take advantage of it. Pass was just ahead of Nadeau. Fowler coming on. Had it off his skate. That was clean, though. Harvey couldn't get the shot. Lawrence, though, on a backhand is stopped by Boya. 9:35 remaining here in the third period. Good effort there by Tynan Lawrence. Well, we are still square at 2. Hockey East on NESN is brought to you in part by Boston Children's Museum. Visit Boston Children's Museum today, the official children's museum of Hockey East. We have a 2-2 game, 9:35 remaining here in the third period. Single game weekend for these teams. And BU's last tune-up before they go for back-to-back Beanpot titles when they play their arch rivals Monday night in the 300th all-time meeting of the Battle of Comav. We'll have it for you right here on NESN. Ahead for Fowler, plays it forward. Monday should be something else. A BC team that has not won the Beanpot in a decade against a Terriers team trying to take it away from them once again. There is Scott, good block by McCarthy. Just an excellent play for a Terriers team that has just blocked a ton of shots in this game.
That is block number 22 for Boston University. Wow. 22 blocks, and we still have plenty of time to go in this game.
That has been a staple the last couple of years for these BU teams. Some really, really high block shot numbers. Not that it necessarily hasn't been this year, but here's Yzerman. Yzerman weaving through. It's loose, backhand chance, Bednarik. And Boya continues to be sharp.
And the offensive instinct there of Bednarik to see that loose puck and just want to, instead of trying to corral it, just try to steer it toward the net here. Look at what he gets on this shot. This puck is loose, and he gets a stick smashed onto it. Backhand 5-hole area on Boya. That's making a lot out of nothing. That nearly beats the Maine goaltender.
Took two really impressive shots to beat Boya today. I mean, look, we can have this conversation. Ben Barr's had it a lot. Maine fans have certainly had it a lot. Hasn't quite been the goaltending year that anyone was expecting based off the last couple of years. But, I mean, there's still a reason that Boya was an All-American last year. So, again, you just figure at some point, similar to what we're talking about with this BU offense, he's going to go on a sustained run. And it's certainly been flashes. It's not like it's been all bad by any means, as that's blocker down. Follow-up chance. Yegorov may have just gotten a left toe on it. Here's Holt from the outside, walking in. Holt plays it down for Friel. Nice little design there, but it rolled off Friel's stick. 8:23 remaining in this third period. A 2-2 tie between Maine and BU. Here's Cole Hudson. Hudson is looking forward for Merrill. Got deflected somewhere before Merrill picks it up and gives it back for Cole Hudson. Hudson shoots, save Boya. Found it through traffic.
Good traffic there in front. Brandon Svoboda using his frame, all 6'2" of them, to take away the eyes of Boya there, but he was able to see that one through the traffic, get his glove on it. Keep this 2-2 game.
Scholey and Sloboda. 8:05 remaining. I mean, both of these teams are good face-off teams, especially BU in the second half, as we've talked about. Face-off win, McCarthy kind of fanned on it a bit. Good poke by Gerrois. Will Gerrois is in, save Yegorov.
Good job by BU to get back into position. Didn't give that good of an angle to Gerrois.
Conrad Fondrick punched into the wall by Nadeau. Nadeau plays it forward. It was poked momentarily, and now it's Murtag. Scored the BU goal earlier that tied the game at 1. Terriers who have answered twice, as they did in the Beanpot. Here is Morello for Ritchie. Ryder Ritchie Spins it back, Boisvert plays it backhand in for Jurasevich. And then it was underneath the stick of Boumediene. Malta Voss now. Fowler got it forward for Jurasevich. Jurasevich's shot got knocked off. Follow-up chance hit the side of the net as Jurasevich bidding for his second goal of the game. Rukanakis plays it forward for Morello. Jonathan Morello switching spots with Ritchie. Morello trying to get around, centers up. Boy, it was in a good spot, left pad save. Outside McCarthy, his shot blocked. Fowler goes right to the ice, hobbling and hunched over. Still out there though.
That one stings.
Yeah, he's
you
still
can see
feeling
Fowler,
it a bit.
He's still humped over a little bit. Just wants to get to the bench, and he gets there.
Holt chips it in. We had one the other night, if you were with us on Saturday. Marty Lavins blocked the shot and then stayed out there for what had to be a good 30, 40 seconds. Couldn't even get up. One of the craziest, greatest performance shifts I've ever seen. Oh boy, I made that save up high with his mask. Didn't feel the rebound at first. Boumediene has it now. Over for Cole Hudson with 5:23 to go here in the third in a 2-2 game. Hudson spinning away from Russell. Russell broke it up well. Excellent job by Charlie Russell. Here's Harvey. And he got bumped by Loic Usero. Feels like maybe more time subtly this end of the ice for BU. Last few moments here in the third period.
I'd say the last 5 minutes, the balance of the ice has definitely shifted.
Here is Poirier. He's trying to get that towards the net, deflected well wide. Here's Langlois. Little space. Langlois comes through and is saved by Yegorov. 4:35 remaining in the third period. Another exciting ending coming up here from Agganis. 2-2 game. Terriers and Black Bears. Come on back for the finish with us. Welcome back to Agganis. 4:35 to go here in the third period. We look around Hockey East. A couple of really surprising scores there. Lowell up on UMass, and then a stunner just down the other side of Com Ave with Vermont. A huge lead on Boston College. The Eagles have built up some room in the NPI, but that may really hurt. We will see how things shake out over the course of this day. UMass too. UMass was approaching really being in the conversation. It may be tricky after today. Yeah, they were all the way up at 18, so we'll see what happens if they can't hang on there. First of two. That's a save, Yegorov, on a chance from the outside by Jurasevich.
Fantastic save, reaction to that deflection.
Loose puck, squirts free. Langlois coming over, actually hit his own man, Jurasevich. That was a good pushback shift there for Maine after it felt like a little bit more momentum had been on the side of BU.
Yeah, you certainly needed that type of a shift for Maine, and didn't result in the chance, but they certainly got some zone time, got some looks. But you saw even that opportunity there, BU, they're trying to run out of the zone. If they get the puck, they're trying to send a man, which could stretch the ice out a little bit here. So watch those outlet passes here for the Terriers.
Here is Celebrini along the wall. Celebrini staying on it, tries to center up for Merrill. It's on his offhand as he comes away with it now under 4 minutes to go. And that's a good steal by Brandon Holt. Flips it forward. Nadeau couldn't get it on net. It's been a couple of times, just that little flip pass to really spring someone.
Doesn't take much, just has to take an isolation move.
Here comes Peterson wide. Sholey stopped by Yegorov.
That was another one right there. When you give that puck to Sholey, no BU defender is going to get over to him, so he knows he has some room to shoot. Gets a hard shot off. Big save there by Yegorov.
So 3:38 remaining in a 2-2 game. could be a crucial 2-2 game with these teams. But frankly, it's just been a good hockey game between two teams that both probably feel like they would love to be higher than where their NPI number is right now. Here's Murtagh. Murtagh couldn't get it through. Yuzero did a good job staying with him. Here is Sloboda. I mean, it's a good example of it where Hockey East is. Hudson walking in. Hudson makes a move. Oh my! Off the Boya save, then a spinning chance from Murtagh, and Boya made an even better save on the second one.
Murtagh tried to get a puck out of the air as well.
And then that came out to center. What chances these were for BU there. And again, Hudson out there making something happen.
This was something out of nothing here too. You see the puck gets toward the net here, and keep an eye on number 19, Murtagh tries to get a stick on it there, misses, then gets that one. Oh, that's a skate as the skate right there by Boya comes over, takes away the bottom of the net and probably saves a goal.
Here is Langlois. You know, there was a lot of talk early in the season about where Hockey East was, and their non-conference, out-of-conference record was not as good as years past. But they've been on a surge lately. It's all the way over 600 now. There's a chance. Morello might not have ever gotten his stick on it, and Boya made a left pad save. So they're back in position. Still maybe not as many teams in the field, especially who knows what's going to happen with BC. You wouldn't think they'd fall all the way out, but it's not impossible. We'll see what happens. But that middle is still right there. It's still really strong. So there's not that many teams, whereas some of the other conferences, maybe more teams in, but more teams down, pulling the league down as well.
As you see that chance that BU had, but you're right, Eric, that you know the second half in the non-conference slate for Hockey East has been nothing short of impressive.
They have the best non-conference record of any conference since December 29th. Here's Morello. Morello plays it around with a backhand. And of course, the beauty of a bean pot for a school like BU is it doesn't matter what your record is. You get down to Monday against BC, who knows what can happen. Morello hacks at it, then Hudson, and he couldn't get his stick on it on the side of the net.
Looked dangerous, didn't get back above the goal line for Hudson to bury that one.
Here comes Poirier, flips it forward. Russell on a backhand, couldn't get it through to Scott, who's already scored one today for Maine. Harvey was down there cherry picking, nearly got it over for Lawrence. Tynan Lawrence for Boisvert, hit his stick momentarily, but it's flipped forward for Poirier. And he plays the backhand in. 93 seconds remaining here in the third period, still tied at 2, Maine and BU. Turned over, Komarov's chance on a backhand, stopped by Yegorov. Rebound still loose, Pichette throws one off. It hit Lawrence before it could get through. Boisvert plays the backhand, couldn't get it out though. Now he's able to settle it and flip it forward. Into the neutral zone for Harvey and Lawrence, but again, BU comes in offside.
You feel both teams are trying to win this here in regulation. You know, get the full 3 points in the standings. They're both taking their chances at each end of the ice.
So 1:11 left. Komarov and Bednarik for the face-off. Well, considering where we were in the first, shots have really elevated. Now 30-29 in favor of BU. Here's Friel. Got it right back from Komarov. Friel goes wide. Glove save. Yegorov not going to mess around. Secures it with 58.1 to go here in the third.
See, with an offensive zone draw here, does Ben Barr choose to use his timeout, set something up here? If you have the right personnel out there, then you probably don't.
Yeah. Both goaltenders have been pretty good. I mean, now all of a sudden, again, it wasn't a huge chance game early, but in this third period alone, shots are 15 apiece. Remember, back in the first period, it was 7-3 total. BU makes a late switch. 58.1 to go here in the third.
Watch out for a face-off play here. Perfect time to do it.
It's Sholey there for Maine. And again, Bednarik for BU. Good win by the Terriers. Merrill the one helping. Boumediene with a lob wedge to center, and that's whacked off the wall on the near side. Turned over, Bednarik over for Merrill. Thought about his backhand, instead it's Boumediene from deep. Oh, there was a tip and Yzerman was there. Just couldn't get his stick on it. Here is McCarthy. Took an odd bounce off the wall, and Poya had to make sure he was in a good spot. Sholey working through now, 14 seconds to go in the game. Sholey pushed down by McCarthy. Here's Murtagh. Down to 4 seconds remaining in regulation. Is there one more chance? Jurasevich, it was tipped but stopped. And we go to overtime at Aganis.
What a third period.
Great one.
Not a lot of scoring, but plenty of action at both ends. 30 shots each to end the game. 68 shot attempts for Maine, 53 for Boston University. So we look at the stats here, 26 blocks through regulation for the Terriers. And face-offs 25-22 in favor of Boston University.
Did not feel like a game where either team was getting to 30 shots, but there we are with each team getting to that total. And it's the power play goal by Yzerman in the third period that gets us to this overtime. We take a look at the goals and how we got there. That started earlier with Jurasevich, and then there was this really good look from the opposite side, and Murtagh burying it to make it 1-1.
That one-timer off the feed from Hudson. Then we get a strange play. Puck just sat in the slot. Nobody could find it, and then it was Max Scott who buries it. And then the much-maligned Boston University power play finally gets it going, and it's Cole Yzerman who buries that one, ties the game, and we're heading to overtime. Back-to-back overtime games here for the Terriers, actually for both teams. Maine and Providence went to overtime last weekend with the Friars coming out victorious 3-2 in that one. It was a 2-2 tie for Boston University. Their last time out, of course, Cole Hudson, the shootout winner over Northeastern in the Beanpot to advance BU to the championship game.
So we'll go to 3-on-3. BU just did this in the Beanpot semifinals against Northeastern the other day, eventually going to a shootout. Terriers are 2-3-2 in overtime this year. Maine is 4-1-2. So each team secures at least a point, and now we play for the extra one. And who knows how much that could matter come the end of the hockey season.
You don't know, and you don't know even what, a win or a loss in overtime could mean in terms of the NPI as well, if you were to get it in overtime as opposed to in a shootout.
Yeah, that's one of the huge things this year that probably doesn't get talked about enough. This has nothing to do with the NPI, right? It was just a tweak made in the dials. Would have been true if we were still with the pairwise. They switched it so that the split of an overtime game only counts 60-40. So if you win in overtime, it only counts for 60% of a win before you even get to the home road split.
Right.
So if you lose in overtime to the right team, that could be one of your better results.
That's right. It was 67% before this season. 67-33 split, going to 60-40 this year.
So overtime here, 2-2 game. And 3-on-3 with Maine and BU. And it's Brandon Holtz starts it forward for Poirier, the hockey's leader in goals. And Scott, who scored Maine's second goal earlier today. Max Scott comes through. Scott tried to build some speed, but it was broken up by McCarthy. Out there with Tynan Lawrence and Cole Hudson. How about the trust of the 17-year-old Lawrence, who's the first one on the ice for BU in this 3-on-3 overtime.
Plenty of it by Jay Pandolfo.
Here is Hudson. Hudson is in. Cole Hudson trying to make some moves, but it's broken up well by Jurasevich. 2-on-2 coming back for Maine. Jurasevich crosses with Poirier. Jurasevich goes wide and misses high. Hudson trying to win a race. Jurasevich back there as well as Scott. Good coverage there by Maine defensively. Jurasevich kind of got a kick. Lawrence uses the wall to go all the way around. Will keep possession for the Terriers. One line change through.
Lawrence might have had Boumediene in the slot there if he had looked for him.
Boumediene, who had just come on the ice. Now it's Harvey. Jack Harvey spins off the wall. Switches with Ryder Ritchie against Nadeau. Ritchie from the high slot. Still twisting away to the wall, and it is Boumediene. Here's Harvey right in the middle. Back for Boumediene. Boumediene shoots up high. Boy, was going for it with the shoulder. Missed everything. 3:27 to go in overtime. Still no shots on goal officially recorded. Boumediene comes in. Hits Ritchie. Ritchie shot. He scores! Ryder Ritchie wins it in overtime.
And you can count that one. Ryder Ritchie with the game winner in the Beanpot taken away from him just 4 nights ago in overtime. Finds the back of the net. Great job here by the Terriers playing. Keep away in the zone. Find Ritchie. Low, hard shot. Blocker side. Game over.
So Ryder Ritchie scores his 5th goal this season. Had just 2 points over his last 14 games. But 2 guys who were everything they could to get off the schneid, right? Not that they hadn't been playing well, but again, just in terms of finding the back of the net, Yzerman first and then Ritchie, and they are the 2. And once again, for the 2nd game in a row, BU down 1-0, down 2-1. They come back, they force overtime. It was a shootout win in the Beanpot Monday. This one counts as an overtime win, one the Terriers desperately needed. And all kinds of momentum now, not just for the stretch run, but going into that Beanpot final, which will be Monday night against a Boston College team that lost big tonight against Vermont. Appreciate you joining us tonight, folks. For Jim Connolly, Bridget Prue, our entire crew here at Aganis, Eric Galanti saying so long. BU wins in overtime, 3-2 the final over Maine. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Friday Night Hockey East on NESN.